to have Marnix from CA-HOLLAND as our speaker. Please join me in welcoming Marnix.
Okay, thanks, Ronald. Welcome, everybody. I see 13 people here in this meeting room. We were just with 12, but 13th came in. Just to get a feel of the room, who of you, by show of hands, are in their first year of sobriety? 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry. I will use this. By show of hands, who is in their first year of sobriety? 1, 2, 3. Okay. 3 and 4. 4 and up. Okay, cool. Okay. Can everybody understand me a little bit better now? Yeah. Need me to speak up more? Sorry. This is what the hell is this? I've been asked to do the kind of workshop on the 12 steps, 12 traditions, and 12 concepts. But we only have a limited amount of time. So forgive me that I'm just skipping the 12 concepts. I'll touch on them, but I won't go into depth with them. I'll introduce myself first. I'm Marnix, an addict, and I've been clean and sober for 7 days, 3 months, and 14 years, 1 day at a time. I've been going to the programs of AA and CA for a longer period of that, but I need a couple of relapses to to get to the point where I was just ready to accept the inevitable, basically. But I'll touch on that and on the 12 steps when I come to the 12 steps. First, a bit on the history before I get into everything. Bill and Bob. Everybody knows Bill and Bob, I guess. Yeah. Basically, you know the story. Bill Wilson was an alcoholic living in the United States, and he tried to stop drinking and using and whatever, and he couldn't. And he tried everything until a friend of him, Abby Thatcher, contacted him and said, "I have found a way out because I have the same disease as you do." And he took Bill to the Oxford Group, and the Oxford Group was a movement in the United States at that time of people trying to help each other, and they had 4 absolutes. Bill got sober there, and he tried to help other people, but he couldn't. Other people wouldn't get sober. But being a real alcoholic, he lost his job, and he was also almost losing his relationship. But he needed money, and he had a job opportunity. So he went a long way from home to go to for the job opportunity, and he didn't get the bid. So they was hopeless and very desperate. And he had many talks with Dr. Silkworth, the attending physician at where he got sober at the first time. And Silkworth said to him, leave out the God stuff, but help other alcoholics if you can. And so he did. And after he was in the hotel, Mayflower Hotel in Akron, and long story short, he contacted Dr. Bob. And Dr. Bob didn't get sober that day. He drank a couple of times, did a surgery, half drunk. And after that day, he got sober. And that's when AA was founded, basically, after Bob got sober. From that point on, AA started growing. They started working with other people, growing. And they had a lot of meetings, and they were getting letters from problems from the meetings. And then at one time, the Jack Alexander paper came out, and it was a paper written by a journalist who was specifically tried to uncover schemes and other stuff. But Jack wrote a paper and said, this is a bunch of people who are actually trying to help other people with nothing in return. So they got a huge response by it. So the meetings grew and grew exponentially. And also a lot of problems arose in those meetings. How do we do this? How do we do that? And skipping about 20 years later, at the convention in 1965, if I'm not mistaken, they turned AA over as such to the alcoholics themselves. He said, we are no longer in charge, if we ever were, you know, but we have learned from these past 20 years what works and what doesn't work. And they were not talking about the program, the recovery part, but the traditions and the concepts of how these meetings should be run and how AA should be organized. It was all trial and error, and they had 20 years to figure that one out. Because AA wasn't the first organization that grew exponentially. 100 years before that, there was another group, and now I can't remember their names. Washingtonians, thank you. The Washingtonians had the same thing. They started with a couple of guys trying to get sober in the bar, you know, but they didn't have the traditions. And so, as any addict knows, ego is a huge problem in any recovery. And the ego was still in effect in those meetings. And before long, the Washingtonians were just all but extinct. And Bill knew that, and Bob too. So they made up the traditions and said, basically a tradition is something that works and we keep using them and we do it over and over again, and that's how it becomes a tradition. You know? And now and later on we go to the starting of Cocaine Anonymous, which is in '86, when Jamie S said, we want a AA meeting, especially for people with a cocaine addiction, you know. And they basically copied everything with permission of AA. But I want to go back to the beginning and to the symbol that symbol of AA. Everybody knows that the circle and the triangle in it. It's the three legacies. It's the unity, service, and recovery. This is my personal opinion. My whole life is based on those three pieces. You know, it's what makes my life whole. It's not just the program. It's not just the service. It's not just the unity. You know? And I'd like to start reading here a little bit. That the recovery part, you know, it's the set of 12 principles and 12 steps used to recover from alcoholism or addiction are found in the first part of the big book, and it ends on page 164, you know, and the 12 steps in the 12 steps and 12 traditions. The 12 steps are also known as recovery in its entire foundation of our program. Thus it is the bottom of the triangle holding up unity and service. The physical compulsion and the mental obsession are removed when have completed the 12 steps. Then comes the promises. We have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And unity and service cannot be a part of our lives unless we are practicing these principles, the principles of the 12 steps of the recovery part, in all our affairs. Basically, we cannot give away what we do not have ourselves. So in order to determine whether we are fit in spiritual condition, we do a nightly inventory as part of step 11. You know? And guess most of the people know step 11. We'll get back on that later. The unity, it's the body, the group, the physical groups, the meetings. The 12 principles used within the fellowship are the 12 traditions found in the 12 steps and 12 traditions, and in the appendix of the big book in the 4th edition. It's the second legacy, it's the unity, the body. Suggests that we join a home group and participate in meetings. In early sobriety, meetings and fellowship with recovered alcoholics and addicts can help to keep a newcomer sober and clean until they have completed their steps and found a higher power. The fellowship is the group members and is fondly referred to as the meeting before or after this meeting. And more importantly, however, the group and its members are responsible for making sure that the doors for the meetings are open for the newcomers. I do something with myself, asking myself questions. One of this is this one: do I have a group that I am committed to and involved with? Am I participating in this in my fellowship? Do I do service and do I keep up the 12 traditions? I am responsible, and when anyone anywhere reaches out for help, I want the hand of CA to be there, and for that I am responsible. That also goes back to the first tradition, which we come next to. And then the third legacy, the service part. It's the spirituality and the organization as such. The service in AA and CA is based on the 12 spiritual principles known as the 12 concepts, which are found in the General Service Manual and in the appendix of the Big Book, 4th edition. Having had then we got the 12th step. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to another alcoholic, and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Practical experience shows us that nothing so much ensures immunity from drinking than intense work with other alcoholics. It works when all other activities fail. This is our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics. In the tradition, the current service structure put out in place by Bill and Bob allowed recovered alcoholics to have resources at their disposal in order to help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. And one of these questions also I ask myself is, am I working with other alcoholics, taking them through the 12 steps? And am I practicing all these principles inside and outside these meetings? Am I restless? Am I irritable? Am I discontent? If AA or CA is the 12 steps, the fellowship and workings with others, where am I in this program? How do I fit in? So that's basically the three parts of this program. It's the recovery, the service, and the unity. I cannot recover solely on this program. I've tried. I can't. Just working the program isn't working for me. Just going to meetings is not going to work for me. I have my experience is that I have seen a lot of meetings, and I've went to a lot of meetings, and not all the meetings are the same. I don't have connections with every meeting. I don't have connections with all the people there, And there are last meetings that call themselves A or CA, but the program is far, far-fetched. Just for example, I was sitting at a meeting not so long ago, and there was this guy sitting next to me, and he was just shaking. I don't know if he was detoxing or whatever, but he was ready to go out again. And there were people sharing, and not so much hope or strength, but this guy started about his woolen underwear that his mother had knit during the war. And I thought to myself, oh my God, where is this going? But I tried to listen and be very, very calm and just let it pass. And this guy was finished, and then someone else also mentioned that he'd traumatized by his woolen underwear knitted by his mummy. And then the third guy also. And I was getting really, really angry at this time. There was no recovery from any of those shares. So I tried to interact with the chairperson. Come on, this is supposed to be, we're supposed to be giving people hope, not sharing in their in their long lost trauma of woolen knitted underwear, And this guy, the chairman, he said, "Okay, this is enough about knitted underwear. I myself too have experience with knitted underwear, and I don't like it, So this was the fourth guy talking about, and we're 20 minutes later. This guy next to me just stood up and he ran, and I've never seen him back. If I just go to meetings and I happen to go to the wrong meetings, where am I to be? I'm lost, I'm scared, and I don't know what to do. My only solution when I'm in an obsession, I drink, and I go for it. When I only do the program, I've tried that in recovery. There came a time where I was not able to go to meetings. And I just had my big book, and I was just inside my head all the time, trying to do what it says, But I'm an alcoholic. I make up stuff and I don't even realize it, Later to me, it was explained, read the black parts in the big book, not the white. And because I was thinking, oh, this must mean this must mean that. It doesn't. But what it did, I was still sober, but I was isolating again, I was not connecting to other persons. So I was feeling lonely, And when I feel lonely, I feel miserable. I get into a depression, Before long, I was really sick again. The obsession hadn't returned, but I wasn't happy, joyous, and especially not free, So, and that brings me to the third part, the service part. I felt like a loser all my life. From the earliest age that I was, like 4 years, I wasn't being accepted by anybody, not feeling a part of, just doing stupid things just to be liked or get a pat on the back, And I'm not going to even mention the family relations, But when in these meetings, I have a service position. I still have an ashtray commitment somewhere. We stopped smoking in these meetings like 9 years ago, but I still have that commitment and I'm proud of it. I still count all the ashtrays. I've been doing service for all that time, and it means that I'm accepted. It's expected of me to turn up, and it's just another stick for me. If I don't want to go to a meeting, you gotta go. If I don't go, I've got 20 addicts calling me day and night. Why weren't you there? Why weren't you there opening up this meeting? Because I have the key. Well, where the hell's the literature? If I have a literature service at that time, so it makes me feel part of, and not only that, it makes me feel useful. It gives me a bit of a purpose, and it gives me a huge opportunity to learn because I'm scared of new things, I had no idea how to make proper coffee. I had to be taught, my first cup of coffee from these big pots, like liquid asphalt, you stick a spoon in it, it would stand up straight. It's ridiculous. So that's the 3 parts I need for my whole state of mind to recover. I'm going to go to the 12 traditions. I won't bother with the long form, but I do have the tradition checklist. Anybody heard of the tradition checklist? You did? Oh, there's one. It's good. We've all heard them being read out or read them out themselves, and they are for a reason. It's for the upkeep of these meetings. That tradition 1 states that our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on CA unity. And why is that? Why is not that person the most important? Basically, if there's no meeting, there's no recovery available for the individual. That's the responsibility part. A meeting can get people sober. One person cannot keep a whole meeting sober. A meeting can keep a person sober. And that's why we always say there are no bosses. We're all servants in AA. And we're all equal. Doesn't mean that I am better because I have so much time clean or whatever. It just means that I have more experience with going to meetings. And one of these questions also is, and I just like to read them to you. If you are aware of them, you might ask them. The question for tradition 1: Am I in my group a healing, mending, integrating person, or am I decisive? What about gossip and taking other people's inventory? And some of these questions are really hard to answer yourself, because I fairly regularly do this check myself, and I find myself, oh shit, damn, I'm not the spiritual guru that I thought I was. Another one is, am I a peacemaker? Or do I, with pious preludes such as just for the sake of suggestion, plunge into an argument, being argumentative? Or another one is, am I gentle with those who rub me the wrong way? Am I abrasive? And that's a real test for me, because I don't like everybody in the meetings that I go to. I love them, nonetheless, but sometimes they just rub me the wrong way. And I just give them a hug, and I always wish them well. But those are not the persons I'm going to get into argument with. I'm not going to say them in one devious way. How many meetings have I seen you lately? It's bound to be a fight. Do I make competitive AA or CA remarks, such as comparing one group with another, or contrasting one AA or CA in one place or another? Am I thinking that my meeting, my home group, is the best meeting? What I just said before about this other meeting that I went to with the woolen knitted socks, this is just an experience. I'm not passing judgment on that meeting. I am not. It's just a learning curve for me, not to mention knitted woolen socks in my meeting, basically. Other people get sober in that meeting, and I wish them all the luck. But it's not my meeting. And that's just my opinion. Everybody needs to get their groceries. It's up to you to find your own grocery shop, basically. You got to get your milk, your bread, and your cheese, whatever. Go wherever you find your best meeting. Do I put down some CA activities as if I were superior for not participating in one of these? For instance, if someone is making up a committee for an event or something, and for instance, this convention, and I come here and I have all these expectations and they're not being met, am I saying, well, if I was part of this committee, I would have done such and such and such and such? Is that the way I act, how I act? Or do I act like, okay, I see a possibility for improvement here. Why don't I sign up for the next year and help them out? It's a whole difference. Am I considerate of other members as I want them to be of me? Am I just too much in my own head? Or am I outgoing, asking how other people are? Can I help them? Can I be of service to other people? Do I share all AA or CA of me, and the bad and the good, and accepting as well as giving the help of fellowship? And this one is important, because just saying I'm doing fine. If I'm saying I'm doing fine, I'm not doing fine. A bit of me is okay, but there's a whole shitload that I'm not telling, you know. And I need to do that. I need to share in these meetings what is going on in my life and how I'm handling it. You know, and that makes me feel connected. If I don't, I just start isolating again, and before I know it, I'm still in control. For tradition 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. One of these questions, do I criticize or do I trust support of my officers, GSRs or representatives or any committees, office workers, newcomers or old-timers, you know? What do I say about these people? Do I criticize them? Another one is, am I absolutely trustworthy? You know, even in secret, with the AA 12-step jobs or another AA responsibility. You know? Or is this one of my old character defects going to creep up again? You know, just and just spill a little bit of the beans, just to be liked or be interesting enough to in a conversation. You know, and I find this really, really important. Because and that also means when you're having helping other people and hearing their fifth steps, you know, we don't tread lightly on them, you know, whereas we're told things in confidence and they should be kept in confidence. And if you have a short-time memory problem, you don't have a problem like that. You know? But it's the trust that we're given that should be respected, you know, as we expect respect from other people. Do I look for credit in AA jobs, or do I praise my ideas in CA or AA? Another one is, I've been sober and clean for a while. Am I still willing to do service positions? You know, or do I just say, "Oh, let the newcomer do it"? You know, I'm coming back from work late, and I don't want to be in a hurry to open up the meeting or do the literature, or let somebody else carry the books. You know. And tradition 3, the only requirement for a membership or CA memberships is a desire to stop drinking or using. And I come back to the people that rub me the wrong way, if I so like to speak. Is there some kind of other people? Are there some kind of other people, or go to fellow sisters? How do you say this in English? Other 12-step related meetings. And it says, is there some kind of alcoholic whom I privately do not want in my AA group? You know, or I think he or she does not belong here for one reason or another. You know, how open am I? You know, do I set myself up to be a judge whether a newcomer is sincere or not? Why I was a newcomer, I was not sincere about stopping. So why should I do it now? You know, I came for all the wrong reasons to this program. And I found out the real reason later on, you know, because I was accepted. You know, do I let language, religion, or lack of it, race, education, age, or other such things interfere with my carrying this message? This is important because if I want to be a part of a fellowship that is made up of a mix of people who usually do not mix, you know, why not for this message? Why shouldn't I help this girl or guy if he wants to get sober and clean? You know, why would I not do that? Of course I would. You know, when someone turns up at an AA or a CA needing information or help, even if he can't ask for it aloud. Does it really matter to me what he does for a living, where he lives, what the domestic arrangements are, whether he had to be in AA before, what other problems he or she has? Basically, do I judge the people I want to help? I try not to do that. And why not? Because basically, a higher power is in that person's life, and we meet. So my higher power says, we've got someone here whom you might help. Who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? I've been judging people all my life, and I had to learn to stop doing that. So I help anyone. Tradition 4: each group ought to be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. Do I insist there are only a few right ways of doing things in AA? No. I had to learn to keep an open mind. I am not a guru on 12 steps or anything. I'm not even guru on myself. So, no. And for this, we need this group conscience. Where a higher power can be heard. Do I put down other members' behavior when it's different from mine, or do I learn from it? Usually that means I recognize something in someone else's behavior, and that means it's for me up to look what it is. Why is this guy annoying me? Why is he doing this all the time? Why is he looking at me? Why is he staring at me? Why is he looking at his watch all the time? That could have has been me a lot of times. Do I share knowledge of AA tools with other members who may not have heard of them? That means going outside my comfort zone. Talking to people who are not familiar with this 12-step program. And I do. Sometimes I meet people and I try to help them with just the experience that I have, not basically, oh, well, you should make a step 4, no. Just try to ease it in, and sometimes it just helps a lot. Tradition 5. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. Do I ever cop out by saying, I am not a group, so this or that tradition does not apply to me? If I start doing that, I'll be isolating myself again, basically. Like it says, it's a cop out. If I don't want to be a part of something, I haven't investigated it because I do not see the value of it. Have I today imposed on any AA member for a special favor or consideration simply because I am a fellow alcoholic? To ask for favors? No, I do not. Not when it's not related to this meeting. It's not on a personal level. Not at a home level, but at a meeting level, of course. We need other people to maintain the meetings. Am I willing to do 12-step with a next newcomer without regard to who or what is in it for me? I've learned that. I was I started to have expectations when I started doing 12 steps. Basically another pat on the shoulder. Oh, look, he's got so many guys sober or clean. Or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What it is, what I get out of my 12-step work is that I stay sober and clean. That's it for me. And that's the only expectation I have. And if I don't do it, I don't get it, basically. So, tradition 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA or CA name to any related facility outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. This was a biggie in the upcoming fellowship, or especially in AA. there was at the time a alcohol company who had a policy saying, oh, we like everybody to enjoy alcohol, but we do not want to hurt the alcoholics. So we want to set up a program for them, And they asked AA, an AA member, if they would be, their front man. And he said, yes, I would try to help, no problem. He said, but you're going to be recognizable, and we're going to also mention that you are an AA member. And that question was very important because it said, we cannot lend our AA name to another company who actually sells alcohol, We cannot do that. It ought to be autonomous always, So basically he didn't took the job. And this is very important because I've seen in Dutch AA, there has been they're lending now their name to another non-profit organization. They are working together and they're mentioning both their names at the same time. And I was actually at a convention there with two former, how do you call it, presidents? No, of former presidents of the AA in Netherlands. And they both stood up and said, have you completely gone mental? This is a meeting, AA should always be autonomous. And now they are doing things together, all for the right reasons. But the result is that things are mixing up, and AA is not AA as it should be anymore. And so that's a real biggie. So I'm terrified of seeing that. And it's really a shame, and I'm not able to do anything about it. That's worse. Tradition 7. AA group ought to be self-supporting, declining outside contributions. One of these questions, honestly, how do I do all? So, honestly now, do I do all I can to help AA? My group in the central office, my GSO, remaining self-supporting. Could I put a little more into the basket on behalf of the new guy who cannot afford it? How generous was I when I tanked in a bar room, And I'm a treasurer at a meeting, and I basically what I basically said, everybody puts in €1 per meeting. When I think back to when I was still using, €1 just wouldn't get me through 10 minutes of a day. How willing am I to help this organization, who does not only help me but other people, stay in place? My sponsor told me you put in 3, one for yourself, one for the meeting, and one for the other guy. And that's what I always suggest. It's a suggestion. But basically, if there isn't any money, there's no organization. Tradition 8. Or 9, where am I? 8. This one has from. Where's the 12th tradition? Next. Behind you guys. I know we screwed up somewhere. Thank you. Cocaine Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special office workers. Basically, we need sometimes professionals to help us out. And if they're not members of CA, they can be employed. It's not a must, but it can be useful. You know? And there are a lot of people who help AA and CA out with specialist stuff, you know, special legal stuff or financial stuff. 9. CA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible for those they serve. One of these questions is, do I resist formal aspects of CA because I fear them as authoritative? You know, or one of them is, do I exercise patience and humility in any service position I take? Or another one is, am I aware of all those to whom I am responsible, you know, in an AA service position or CA? And oh yeah, this is good. What has rotation service position has to do with anonymity, you know, and with humility. Basically, service needs to be done. You know, everybody should get an opportunity to be of service. You know, I know my service positions, especially in the beginning, helped me out a lot. You know, when I was doing this coffee and ashtray commitment and opening up, you know, I went there especially early, you know, because there were always 1 or 2 old timers, you know, coming up to me and helping me out, you know, and most of the time I got more out of those 30 minutes than out of the meeting. And why would I keep that from somebody else, you know? Tradition 10. CA Cocaine Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA or CA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. And it actually has the same effect as our primary purpose, you know. Me and Ronald, we could have a huge fight over what color the hair of the cat of the neighbor should be, you know. But that doesn't matter. If we both want to get sober and clean, we have the right to come to these meetings and be able to share our hope, experience, and strength with each other, you know, and leave that color of the hair of the cat of the neighbor out of it, you know. And this is just a short bit, you know. I'm just gonna skip to.
It's red.
Huh?
It's red.
It's red. Tradition 11. I'm getting to the end now, so don't worry. This is a bit tedious. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We always need to maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. Why? It's also has a spiritual foundation, you know. Like I said, I like a pat on the back. You know, if I see my name in the paper, you know, he's sober for so many years, helped so many people, da 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 da. I want more. I start doing the things that I shouldn't do, you know. But it can also have a negative effect on AA or CA as a whole, you know, because whatever happens, I don't know, you know. I've had my name in this paper, you know, and next year I had a relapse, you know, and I keep on relapsing, and I bring down this company, and I heard this person, and that happened, and people remember, oh wow, he was doing so great. Ah, look at him now, you know. So that maybe this A or CA doesn't work at all, you know. It helps us protect the organization as such, and also our anonymity. You know? And the 12th tradition is anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. One of these questions is, why is it a good idea for me to place the common welfare of all CA members before the individual welfare? What would happen to me if CAA as a whole disappeared. You know. Another one is, do I ever try to get a certain AA or CA group to conform to my standards and not its own? Meaning, am I trying to forcefully change a meeting, you know, by saying or getting some rules in place, you know. This meeting should only be for gentlemen between the age of 30 and 32, weighing 60 to 80 kilos. You should all wear black shorts and white socks or whatever, you know. And we had this in the beginning of these meetings as well, you know. And that's why they basically said, well, we need a rule 62, you know. Because there was at the time a meeting they had 61 rules which you needed to comply with, or otherwise you were not welcome in these meetings. And even Bill and Bob weren't eligible to attend those meetings because they couldn't, you know. So basically what it says, you know, we shouldn't take ourselves so goddamn seriously all the time, you know? And one of these is, do I complain about certain AA behavior, especially if they're paid to work for AA or CA? Who made me so smart? Basically, is am I jealous? You know, but what it says is why I'm not doing others, or why I'm not being of more service. You know, should I keep this CA membership a secret or reveal it in private conversation when that may help another alcoholic and therefore me? Is my brand of CA so attractive that others, drunks or addicts, would want it? You know, I do not keep my anonymity at a personal level. All my family members know. A couple of my friends know, and they're always joking about it, you know. But if they need a Bob to drive them around, they always know where to find me, you know. They need a driver, you know. And for a couple of instances, I just knowing them, seeing what's happening, and being able to point in the right direction, you know, is sometimes just a huge difference in someone's life. Why should I keep it all to myself, you know? I'm not hanging out posters on my window. Here lives an AA or CA member. You know, it doesn't work like that. You know, but I do want people to know where I live, or how they can get my phone number if they want help. You know, and that's nice. It happened to me lots of times doing my 9-step work. You know, and what I did last year, I recalled a lot of those people I did 9-step with. Oh, we're so many years later. How are you doing? You know, just have a conversation. And most of the time, you're still going to those meetings. What the hell is that for? You know, and just explain to them. You know, and I always end with, if you know anybody, you know, think anybody might need some help, you can always give them my number. You know, I have a little business in Breda. It's called Marnix Breda. You know, you can look it up on the internet anywhere, and you get my direct phone. So it's very easy to remember, you know. So that's basically the checklist for the 12 traditions. I'm glad that's over. It's a lot, you know. It's a lot. Just one thing I want to say about the traditions. If you're having problems in relationships, try applying those traditions in your relationship. This is a biggie, and it works. It works, you know. It puts me back in my place, you know, not putting black in my place, seeing what my place is, what I ought to do, where I can be of more service, you know. So try ask your sponsor if he does know, you know, it works. Anybody want me to do the 12 concepts? They're even more boring. Basically, I'll just touch on it. The 12 concepts are instituted also in 56 for the organization to remain in place, AA and CA, for the unity of the whole AA and CA in the world, you know. And basically, it's a set of guidelines by which the representatives and the people of the General Service Board should act. You know, what can they do and what they cannot do. That's a short version. And now to the 12 steps. I'd like to leave a little bit of time overlap for questions and answers. But now I do get to the 12 steps, and I'm going through them like very fast. 1, we admit we were powerless over cocaine and old mind altering, also all mind altering substances, and that our life had become unmanageable. I was in this. I was in the program for 7 months before it hit me. You know, like I said, I came for all the wrong reasons. You know, and I needed to have a couple of relapses to have hit my had my rock bottom reached. You know, where I finally was at a stage. Okay, I'm powerless. I actually am powerless. It was my last attempt to drink socially. You know, I tried to have 2 mini bottles of Vleugel, you know. And what had happened is it had stopped working. Instead, it was doing exactly the opposite. The horror that was spilling in my head all day long just intensified more and more and more. And that was the first bottom that I had. Later on, I had the second bottom, and that was just what you call it, emotional bottom, you know. But that's something else. Steps 2. I made a decision to turn our will and lives over to care of God as. There, something went wrong. It should be. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves should. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Basically, what is as my sponsor pointed that, here's your big book, and open it upon the first page. Just open it up. What do you see? You know, and I couldn't see it. I just could not see it. So I opened it up, you know, and the first thing I did, Alcoholics Anonymous. It said, you're missing it. So what do you mean? Open up to the first page. Yeah, open up, you know, and we're blank pages. You know, that's basically what it is, open mind. And that's still an issue to today. All the preconceptions that I have, all the old ideas I need to get rid of, you know, I have to keep an open mind. Even about the power greater than ourselves, you know. And as time goes by, more will be revealed, you know. I come to believe, and when you start believing, you're gonna get some faith, you know. When you start to get some faith, you're gonna tread in life with dignity and some self-worth, you know. You know what you're worth, and that's total opposite of what I was when I came to this program. 3, made a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of God as I understood Him. It's basically just a decision, you know. It's a mind thing, but no good can come from it without being followed up by action, you know. I can decide all day whatever I like, and I won't get off this chair, you know. I do the third prayer every day, third step prayer every day, and especially and the 7th step prayer, amongst other things, you know. And 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. When I came to this program, I went to a sort of meetings where there was a lot of talk about meetings, about the steps, a lot of talk, and I just parroted, you know. Nobody actually done a lot of step work, you know. And by doing that for almost a year, I was doing exactly the same. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't using, but I was just mentally so insane that I was able, of that I was willing to commit homicide and feel perfectly okay with it, you know. And that's when I had, I call it an um, divine intervention, if you call it. I don't know what you call it, you know. But something clicked in me and said, Marnix, this is not the way it's supposed to be, you know. And then I had to change a lot of things, basically everything. I changed sponsor, I changed meetings, I started doing basically what my new sponsor suggested, you know. And that got me into the steps, and that actually started working for me, you know. Um, and that fourth step helped me enormously, because before I just talked about it and told everybody how good it would be if I did it, you know. And my sponsor at the time said, I don't want to hear any more bullshit. I just wanted to start working, actually do stuff, you know. And what I've been fearing for a year, you know, was basically written down within 8 hours of actually writing. And that's a lot of resentment. It's a lot of anger, you know, that's a lot of fear. Holding up for a year without anything to keep it down, you know. 5, admitted to, we were ready, admitted to God, to ourselves, to another human being, exact nature of our wrongs, you know. I sometimes hear people, you're sick as your secret, as your deepest secret. I do not speak for anybody else, you know. I do for me. I have shared my deepest secrets, and it was a relief. And basically did my whole life story. And by the end of it, he said, "Well, thanks for the story, you know." But what is the exact nature? You know, what is the exact name? Can you identify them off by heart? Do you know what's wrong? And I could, you know, in the fourth column, third or fourth column, I knew exactly what was wrong. 6, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Am I willing to turn it over? Am I willing to turn everything over? Or just a little bit that I'm having problems with? You know, do I want to keep lust, and not just the sexual, but also the money lust or the controlling lust or whatever lust? You know, want to keep. Am I ready to do that? You know, and 7, actually doing that, turning it over. And I do this on a day-to-day basis because I know I still have a lot of character defects, which affect me on a day-to-day basis. And I try to start every day fresh. You know, that's how I start my day. 8, made a list of people, of persons we had harmed, and became willing to make amends to them all. It doesn't say that I like to do this. No. But it's just making a list. Okay, I'll do that. You know, but becoming willing, you know, just put them in order. Which ones do you want to do first? You know, and see what happens. That's what my sponsor said. You know, step 9: make direct amends to people wherever possible, except by to do so which injure them or others. You know, and a lot of these had to run by my sponsor. You know, is this a good idea? Is this a good idea? In my first 2 years, I did all my 9 steps that I could, except for one. And it was my last ex-girlfriend. And until this day, she does not want to talk to me, see me, or speak to me, or whatever, you know. And I was getting really obsessed about it. I need to make my amends to her, you know. And I knew she was driving a little blue Nissan, and whatever I would think I saw her drive, I would just try to catch up to her, you know, and just speeding and overtaking overtaking cars on the wrong side, you know. What the hell was I thinking, you know? Driving on the freeway, just going 120 kilometers an hour. Hi, I like to do step 9 with you. It's okay, you know. I was just so obsessed by it, you know. And my sponsor said, "Let it go," for the umpth time, you know. So if you're still willing and ready to it when the time comes, the time will come, you know. Don't don't think about it, and that obsession left, luckily, you know. Um, More will be revealed. I had a lot of blackouts, and during recovery, I uh, met people whom I'd heard so many years ago, and just by seeing their faces, it all came back to me. One of those incidents was that my father-in-law, he died, and this was not a surprise. We all knew he was dying, and so they were bringing him away. He was driving outside of the street, and they pulled up a little car from the begrafenisondernemer. I have no idea what that's in English. Something like the undertaker, And out steps this woman, and it was half and half an ex-girlfriend, whom I had not remembered or seen for basically 20 years, you know. And I was standing in the doorway, waving bye to my father-in-law, and here comes an ex-girlfriend whom I have not made any amends to. I said, I had a really, really, really quick prayer, and she recognized me also. And for the sake of profession, she did her job wonderful. And I was able to do a 9-step with her afterwards, a month after my father-in-law was buried. And when she basically said, "Oh, so now I know why the fridge was always empty, why there was no wine or anything else or beer or da 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 da." But I never understood why you just didn't answer any phone calls or any of my letters. And at that time, I was able to tell her and explain to her and apologize to her, and said what happened. I said I was basically too ashamed. I was too afraid. And just the willingness part, it gets me into new situations, which are just wonderful, I think. Step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we're wrong, promptly admitted it. And that's on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes on a minute-to-minute basis. When I'm up here, I can do and say stupid stuff. But I've also learned to correct them before things get out of hand. And usually it doesn't take more than 10 seconds. Sometimes when I do my nightly review, I do things creeping up, and I try to do it as fast as possible. And usually it means the next day. So I'm sorry, I was a jerk yesterday. And I apologize for my behavior. How can I write this? And that just keeps away all those grudges and all those fears. Because once I let them into my head and I'm not expelling them, they're going to take a whole new meaning, and they're getting a life of their own. 11. Start through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will to us and the power to carry that out. That is, for me, how I see it. My uncovering relationship with my higher power. It is there. It has always been there. I've just covered it up with a whole lot of bullshit, and it keeps getting covered up by day-to-day shit or fears or whatever, and it means just opening up and making time for it, because time is basically the only thing I have in this life. I was born in 74, and I will die sometime in near future. I don't, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 20, 30, 40 years. I don't know. Time is basically all I have. So what do I do with this time? And I've been granted this gift of sobriety, and that I have the life that I have today, which is wildly beyond my dreams. Why cannot give the most precious things that I have to my higher power in order for me to grow, so I can be more effective to myself and to other people around me? Why wouldn't I do that? I'd be a robber of my own wallet. And it does give me peace of mind, and it does not always clarify things. My higher power talks 99 times out of the 100 through other people. You know, I have to be aware of other people. And on step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to all other alcoholics. When I start working with other people, that's where I start, at the first half of step 12. This is the goal we're working towards, you know, a spiritual awakening. That's the purpose of this book, you know. Get my own head out of my ass and open up for the spiritual awakening. And by saying that, and I am very fortunate to have been spiritually awakened. You know, I've had some spiritual experiences which put me in my right place, and to see where my place is, and it's not where I think it should be. You know. And it is intense work with other people on a one-to-one basis most of the time, in which I learned the most of myself and gain most out of this program. You know, that's the first 164 pages. And by that, we have concluded the 12 steps in a very, very short time. I know I've been talking for over an hour, so my throat is a little bit sore. Now we do have some minutes left for Q&H. Basically, if anyone has a question or something, you can ask me now or ask me after this meeting, or do not ask it, ask someone else. But I do. Are there any questions about anything? Everybody did the 12 steps? Everybody is applying the 12 traditions in their relationship? No?
Checklist. Oh, and for I'm an addict. I
Nice.
got a checklist.
Yeah, I've got it here.
I really like it.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. I only have one. If somebody else wants them as well, we're going to have a copy made at the lobby. So no problem. Do you have any questions?
Oh, God.
Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for being here, attending this meeting. It's an honor for me to be here, so I can share a little bit of strength and a little bit of wisdom, and a little bit of hope that I can share with you today. And with that, I leave you. I hope you have a nice convention and enjoy yourselves. That's it.